Minhoo and Chantel finally drove into the Red Tiger's mansion. The moment they got out of the car, all the underlings who were guarding the house recognized her. Two walked up to her and said, "Chantel Park." "Hi, it's nice to meet you all," she replied. "Sorry, I didn't inform anyone before coming. It was an emergency. I need to meet Ashton Dragon. Where is he?" "He is not around, but I can call him," one of the underlings replied. "Please do," Chantel requested. A call was quickly put out to Ashton, and he asked that Chantel wait for him for 30 minutes since he was busy. Chantel looked around the compound and asked Minhoo, "Do you think it's a good idea for us to wait?" "Yeah, it is. It's all right. I can take all of them if they try to act funny," Minhoo replied. Chantel nodded. "Okay, we're both going to wait in our car." They waited in the car for Ashton until he finally arrived. When he came in, Chantel was impressed to see that he looked better in person. The moment she introduced him as her fiancé, she was sure everyone would buy it. Once Chantel came out, Ashton smiled. He walked up to her, held her hand, and kissed it. "Wow, it's such an honor to finally be in the presence of someone as special as you." Chantel smiled. "Thank you. You already know who I am. This is my best friend, Minhoo." "Minhoo? Nice to meet you," Ashton said to Minhoo. "The pleasure is mine," Minhoo replied. "Can we go in? You guys are my esteemed guests. I can't let you both stand outside." "All right, that sounds nice," Chantel replied. They all went in, and Ashton took them to his anteroom. Once they sat down, he ordered some drinks to be served, but Chantel said, "It's still early, and I'm here for business." "What exactly is the business?" he asked. Chantel cleared her throat. "Well, I know we've never met each other, so this might seem awkward. I've heard about you, Ashton, and I know you're going to be the next leader of the Red Tigers." "Yeah, it's just a matter of 2 months," Ashton replied. "All right, so I came to propose a deal." "And what is the deal?" Ashton asked. "You can become my fiancé and..." "Don't make that face. I know you probably have a girlfriend or something. Don't misunderstand me, okay? I'll make myself clear. Here's the deal. You become my fiancé just for a while, and in the end, I'll pay you 5 million won. 5 million won? You want me to take the risk of being your fiancé? I'm sorry, but do you know how many men out there want to have your head?" Ashton asked. "Yeah, I do. But how many are foolish enough to try to risk their lives? You should know that taking me down is not so easy," Chantel said with an air of arrogance. "Of course I do. That's why I said I admire you. But once everyone knows I'm your fiancé, my life would be in danger, and only for 5 million won? I think I'm worth more than that. All right, 10 million then. That's the highest I can offer." "All right, let me understand the terms better. You want me to be your fiancé in name only, right?" "Yes," Chantel replied. "The thing is that I have no intention of ever getting married in my life. Marriage sucks, and I want to be single all my life." "All right," Ashton nodded. "So here's the drill. I need to be engaged before my inauguration. You must already be aware that Dong Hyun died at my hands, which makes me the next qualified overall leader of all the gangs. The inauguration comes up in 3 months, and I need to be engaged before then and supposedly get married, not more than 2 months after that. But as I told you, I have no intention of ever getting married, so I want you to get into an agreement with me, where we'd get engaged, a fake engagement, and everyone would be told that we'd be getting married. Once I get inaugurated, I will amend the rules so that I am free to live the rest of my life as I please. Once I've amended the laws, I can call off the engagement." "And what reason would you give people for doing that?" Chantel chuckled. "Why would I give anyone any reason? It shouldn't be anyone's business whether I choose to get married or not in the first place. I'm only trying to respect the rules because they've been there for so many years. So, after the engagement and my inauguration, I'll amend the rules and you'll get the remaining 60% of your money. And then we'll part ways. If you're okay with this deal, I will get a contract ready by tomorrow, so we can both sign it. I'll give you 40% up front. On the day of our engagement, which should come up a month before my inauguration. What do you think? What do I think? I think it's an amazing deal. 10 million won is good. Other than the risk, it's good to be known as a one-time fiancé of the great Chantel Park. Chantel chuckled. Yeah, I know I'm amazing, but don't flatter me too much. So, your best friend is also a black viper? He asked. Chantel looked at Minhu, whose expression remained stern. Let's just focus on why we are here, she replied. Minhu smiled. On their way, they had already agreed that Chantel would do the talking while he'd keep quiet, since they didn't want to give away the fact that he was a cop. Although there were those who knew that Chantel had a cop by her side, many didn't know the relationship they shared, and most who had come to realize had died alongside Dong Hyun. Chantel got up. I'm so happy we could come to an agreement. Can I have your card or something? I heard you're a doctor and... Yeah, of course. I am a doctor, and I do own a hospital. Here's my card and sorry for my manners. Ashton gave her his card and added, I'll be expecting your call, Chantel Park, fiancé-to-be, or my fake fiancé-to-be. All right then. I'll see you around, she replied. Chantel smiled as Ashton walked her and Minhu out of his house. Afterward, they got into their car and drove away. The moment their car drove away, Ashton said, Wow, how did I get to be so lucky? He took out his phone and called someone. When the call was picked, he said, Hey Black Dragon, do you remember how we were just discussing last night about who might end up marrying Chantel Park? Yeah, Black Dragon replied. Although I would have preferred killing her, but marrying her is still good enough. Guess what just happened? What happened? Black Dragon asked. Ashton went ahead and told him about the plan Chantel had made with him. No way, are you serious? Dragon asked. Yeah, she just left my house with a man she introduced as her best friend. Wow, I can't believe it. We were just having this conversation last night, and today she showed up at your place. What are the odds? Dragon was not convinced. I'm telling you. Will I lie about this? Ashton replied. You know what? This is my opportunity. No, come on, the engagement is not real. She's eventually going to discard you. She's only going to use you. Why don't we go with my plan from the beginning? Dragon told him. The plan to kill her? Yeah, good luck with that. Ashton replied. Come on, I know I don't stand a chance, but with you posing as her fiancé, it will be possible. You could earn her trust, and it would be easy to take her out that way. Really? Ashton hesitated because he didn't like trouble. You know what, let's meet up. This is a very big plan, and once we're successful, you can become the next overall leader, and I will be your next in command. What I mean is that you can appoint me to be the next overall second in command. What do you say? Dragon explained. It does sound like a good plan, Ashton replied. While in their car, Chantel smiled, feeling happy. Wow, that went well, Minhu. I didn't know it'd be so easy to convince Ashton. His file did say he was a simple man, but he seemed too greedy for my liking, Minhu replied. What are you saying, Minhu? You were the one saying 5 million might not cut it. Let's make it 10. Chantel reminded him. No, I said offering 10 at first would be too much. Let's take it down to 5, Minhu corrected. Oh, I see. Well, whatever the case, he has already agreed, so let's just proceed with it, Minhu. I just want this to be over so we can both live our lives the way we want. On our terms. I want that too, Minhu replied and pinched her cheeks. So, it means we're not going back to Busan today? No, we are not, Chantel said. And now I need to make that call. I know my dad is already aware, but I need to give him the respect he deserves and tell him everything. She took out her phone and called her father, Jin-woo. As she explained everything to him, he said, All right, it's a good plan. As long as it ends with you being happy, Chantel. Your mom and I would be happy too. I heard an attempt was made on your life, and as we speak, the men are being transported to me. Do not worry, I'll give them the best treatment. You will be satisfied. Chantel chuckled. Well, I have absolute trust in you, Dad. As I said, I can take care of myself, but I'm very happy that you have men looking out for me. After the call ended, Chantel stared at Minhu, who was driving, and sighed. All right, that is taken care of as well. So we need to meet up with the lawyer, draft the agreement, and then sign it tomorrow. Works for me, Minhu said. Chantel's phone rang again, and when she took the phone out of her pocket, she said, Mrs. Minji is calling me. Why? Who's Mrs. Minji? My favorite lecturer in university. The day before my parents were attacked, I spoke to her in the morning, but I haven't spoken to her since then, and she hasn't even called me. Hold on, don't say a word. Minhu shook his head, smiling, surprised that Chantel was actually being careful while speaking to her lecturer. Hi, Mrs. Min, Chantel said. Hi, Chantel, how have you been? Mrs. Minji asked. Well, I've been good, I've had a few things to deal with. All right, Chantel, you haven't been to school in weeks. I heard about your parents' accident. Mrs. Min told her. You did? Yeah, I learned your parents were in an accident, and I also heard that they're now okay. That's strange, Chantel said. A friend who's an officer said something about it. Oh, okay, that makes sense, Chantel replied, knowing that the police had been informed of her parents' rescue. So, you're already lagging behind, and the exams are coming up in 2 days. 2 days? Chantel was surprised. Yes, Chantel. You can still make it. I was thinking I could send you some of the materials, some of the things you've missed. You're one of my favorite students. I can send you all the materials you need so you can read through them and see what you can do. Missing out completely is going to get you laid back a year, and I don't want that to happen to you. Where are you now? I'm in Seoul, Chantel replied. So I guess it's not possible then. All right, send the materials to me. And for how long would I be writing the exams? Chantel asked. Mrs. Minji chuckled. Why are you sounding as though it's your first time? The exams take a week. A week? All right, I can do that. I really appreciate this call, ma'am, Chantel told her. Please send the materials to me. I'll go over them and take the exams before doing anything else. After the call ended, Mrs. Minji looked at the man who was pointing a gun at her, and he smiled. Good job. Now, I'm taking your daughter with me. You need to make sure Chantel Park is in that classroom on the day of the exam. If she doesn't show up, your little girl will die. Please, I'm begging you. I'll do anything you want, I promise you. No matter what, I'll get Chantel Park in that class. Just don't hurt my baby. Good, Cobra replied. He looked at the 3 men who were all pointing their guns at Mrs. Minji and her husband and said, Take the little child with you, and let's go. As the men walked out of the house, Mrs. Minji broke down and cried her heart out. Meanwhile, Chantel, who had no idea of what was going on, said, Yes, Minhu. Who knew everything would work out for me in the end. What was that about? Minhu asked. My lecturer in school. I told you I'm in my first year in university, but when my parents got kidnapped and so much happened, I became so occupied and missed school. I was even thinking I'd be laid back a year, but now that will not happen. I will still get the opportunity to write my exams, thanks to Mrs. Min. I won't have to ask my dad to pull any strings. Will you be able to catch up? I mean, reading in 2 days. Minhu was concerned. Have you met me? I have the most photographic memory in the world, so yes. Chantel replied excitedly. All right then, everything seems to be working out so well, Chantel. I'm happy for you. Do not worry, I'll be there in your exam hall, to make sure nothing goes wrong. No, please. Chantel rejected his offer. The last thing I need is for you to be in my exam hall, babysitting me. Trust me, I will ace it. I have no doubt, Minhu replied. Minhu drove Chantel to one of his houses in the city. When they came out of the car, Chantel looked around. The house did not look so impressive from the outside, as it was a small house, unlike the mansions he had taken her to in the past. This is one of my houses, he said to her. Since we are not leaving anytime soon, we can as well spend the night resting here. Chantel nodded. Okay, but why here? I mean, you have so many beautiful houses in the city. You even have a house that has an armory and is well protected. This place looks. Trust me, we are going to be fine, Minhu said. I have my reasons for bringing us here. All right, I trust you, Chantel replied. They both walked into the house, and once they were inside, Chantel moved in front of Minhu, facing him, and slowly knelt down. The moment her hands reached out to unbuckle his belt, Minhu smiled. Someone is feeling very affectionate tonight. Chantel chuckled. You bet I am. 2 hours later, after having her bath, Chantel looked at her phone and realized that Mrs. Minji had sent her all the materials she needed to study for her exams. It seems she really does want me to pass, she said excitedly to Minhu. All right, why don't you start reading while I get started on dinner? Minhu suggested. You mean you have food in the kitchen here too? She asked him. You are exceptional, Minhu. Minhu smiled. Well, I made some arrangements and had some things delivered. They were kept in the store, so I will just go out and get them. Okay, Chantel replied. You do that, and I'll focus on studying. While Minhu made dinner, Chantel kept going through the material that was given to her, studying for her exams. But an hour later, Minhu informed her that dinner was ready. They went to the dining area, and they began to eat. How is it going? I mean, studying for your exams, which you are going to write in 2 days. Minhu asked. Chantel smiled. It's not that difficult. I think Mrs. Minji really wants me to pass. Everything she sent to me is just like a summary. She even sent me possible questions that might come out. Really? Wow. But is that allowed? Minhu asked. Yeah, it's just a compilation of questions that have been given over the years. It doesn't mean these questions would come out, but they are related to what I'm learning. What are you studying, by the way? Minhu asked her. I thought you said you did your homework on me. You didn't find out about that. Chantel asked back. Minhu shook his head. No, I didn't. So tell me. Well, I'm studying psychology. Psychology? Wow, that's interesting. Of all things, why psychology? Chantel shrugged. Well, I needed to study something, and since I'll be dealing with so many people, why not something that will help me? I mean, once I'm done with school, I should be able to figure out what people's motives or intentions are for approaching me. That way, I can keep myself safe. I guess you do have a point, Minhu replied. It's not like money is a problem for you or your family. Not in the slightest, Chantel told him. All right, so let's agree on how these exams are going to go since you've insisted on writing them. You know your life is in danger. It has been made clear that people are after you, which means I cannot let you go to that exam hall on your own. Come on, Chantel replied. Minhu, you do know that I'm not a child, right? Minhu smiled. No one is saying you're a child, but Chantel, we do not know in what form this attack is going to come. People are chasing you, both the ones you've seen and the ones you've not seen. I just want you to be safe. I understand, Chantel replied. And I appreciate it. I have men from the Black Vipers whom my dad has sent to watch over me. So, let's do it this way. I don't want you to wait around while I'm writing my exams. It will stress you out. But I'm not complaining, Minhu replied. I know. You know what we are going to do? You will drive me to school, and after my exams, I won't leave the hall. I will call you so you can come pick me up. How does that sound? All right. I think that's still okay. So, when you're done writing, you call me, right? Minhu confirmed. Of course, I will do that, she assured him. Minhu heaved a sigh of relief, and afterward, they continued eating. Once they were done eating, Chantel said, I should go back to studying. I still have a lot of material to cover, and I only have tomorrow, all right? You do that, Minhu replied. While she sat down in the living room studying, Minhu sat up, staring at her. How am I going to study if you do this? She asked. You should leave here. I'm sitting right here. A good student should be able to study regardless of who's in front of them. Didn't you say your memory is photographic and one of the best in the world? Oh, I see what you're doing there, Chantel replied. All right, in that case, I will just act like you don't exist. She turned her attention back to studying while Minhu laughed. Back in his hideout, Cobra stared at the plan in front of him. He looked at his right-hand man and said, Go on, tell me about the plan you've made. Well, I have already mapped out everything, his right-hand man replied. We are going to round up only the students in Chantel Park's class, since her class would be the target. There are about 25 students in total. We do not know if everyone will show up for the exams, but if they do, we will have 15 girls and 10 boys. And Chantel Park would be one of them. We're going to be filming it just like you asked, and I put Chantel in the third position, meaning that we would first of all kill a boy or a girl with no specific description. We would just go with whoever you find annoying. So, we would take a boy first, then a girl, and then Chantel would be the third one. That way, no one would think we had any agenda. It would look like she was just in the wrong place at the right time, and no one would expect that. So, we're going to be 20 men in total. I have arranged that 6 of them would be inside the class, 4 would be outside, and the other 10 would move all around, while you'll be the one speaking directly to the government. How is that? Cobra, if it's not okay, I can make amendments. His right-hand man offered. No, it's perfect. I like the plan. It's good enough for me. Make sure there are men on the roof too, all right? Cobra replied. Of course, I will put that as part of the arrangement. Cobra nodded. Good. After his underling spoke, he walked away from him while Cobra smiled. He stared at the chip which he had just recovered due to Sahu's help and said, Chantel Park, your days are numbered. After studying for another hour, Chantel got up and stretched her body. All right, I'm done reading. I just need to go over it a second time, but I need your help. In doing what? Minhu asked. Just ask me some of these questions. I want to evaluate how good my performance is. All right, that's not so hard, Minhu replied. He took the tablet from her and began to ask her questions while she kept supplying the answers. Wow! Although I don't know if the answers are correct, seeing how quickly you're giving me your answers, I am really impressed. Minhu said, smiling. Chantel laughed, took the pillow beside her, and threw it at Minhu, who said, I was just being honest. What do you think you're doing? Seriously, I wasn't giving you wrong answers, Chantel told him. I was just pulling your leg, Minhu replied. I'm sure you're going to do well, and I am very, very proud of you. Chantel sat back on the chair and sighed. My dad would be so shocked. I think he must have also given up thinking that I would be laid back a year. I initially thought he would sweep in, maybe use his connections to move me forward, but, well, I don't know. I guess I'm just happy with the way things are. I'm really tired, though. Someone rang the doorbell, and Minhu got up and said, I think the attorney's here. Finally. It nearly took all day, Chantel replied. Minhu shook his head and went out to bring the lawyer in. Once the lawyer got inside, Chantel began to explain everything to him and said, So, I needed you to come in person because I do not want any mistakes in this agreement. I'm going to be getting them first thing tomorrow. Please get the judge to sign it as early as possible. I will do just that, the lawyer assured her. After they agreed on everything, he got up and left the house. Once he was gone, Chantel sighed. Wow, Minhu, I have accomplished so much. Oh, I feel so happy. Yeah, me too, Minhu said. You keep stretching your body. Are you in pain? No, I just think my back aches a bit. In that case, let me give you a massage. Minhu offered. No, let me finish reading. Once I go over this one more time, I'll be the one asking for that massage. Chantel told him. All right, it's your choice, he replied. Chantel began to go over everything she had read once again as she got up, pacing up and down. She kept turning to stare at Minhu, who was looking at her, and each time their eyes met, she would smile. Her phone began to ring at this point, and she took it out of her pocket. She stared at her screen and raised her brows in surprise. Anthony is calling me. I thought he was disappearing into the shadows like he told me. Minhu chuckled and Chantel laughed. Let me hear what he has to say. She answered the call and said, Hey Park, missing me already? Listen, Chantel, you're in danger right now, Anthony said the moment he heard her voice. The happy expression on Chantel's face disappeared. I am in danger? What are you talking about? Listen to me, Chantel. All the underlings who were sent to guard you are dead. All the black vipers guarding you are dead. They're dead, Chantel. You need to hide. Wherever you are, take cover. Your life is in danger." As she heard his words, Chantel turned to stare at Minhu, who had also heard Park. Right at that moment, Minhu got up, ran toward her, and pulled her down with him. Minhu cried out as gunshots were fired into the house. It was at this point that both he and Chantel realized the house had been surrounded. As they lay on the ground, bullets continued flying into the room, breaking the glass and destroying many other things. After a while, the shooting stopped, and Minhu turned to stare at Chantel, whose face was now as white as a sheet. "They're trying to break in. Come with me," he whispered. Chantel picked up her phone, which had fallen to the ground, and put it in her pocket. She began to crawl behind Minhu as they made their way towards the corridor of the house. Once they were in the corridor, Minhu pushed open a door, and they went in. Just as they entered the room, the door leading into the house exploded, and they heard the footsteps of different men running into the house. Minhu locked the door from inside the room. He rushed to the center of the room, pulled out the blue rug in the center, and opened it. Chantel stared at him, wondering what he was doing, and she was shocked when she finally realized that there was an opening. After pushing the rug, Minhu pressed a button on the wall, and a dial pad appeared. He quickly typed in a code, and the tiles separated into two, revealing a ladder leading downwards. Chantel gasped in surprise. "An underground house? Minhu, this is..." "Yes, go in right now," Minhu instructed. Chantel quickly descended the ladder, with Minhu following. Once inside, he closed the hatch covering the underground house, and he typed in the password on the dial pad below. Everything sealed shut, just as they entered. The door leading to that room was also exploded, and men barged in. They searched the room, but couldn't find either of them, so they dispersed into other parts of the house to search. Once they were down, Chantel looked around the underground house in shock. Now she understood why Minhu had brought her there. He ran to a set of computers and turned them on. He quickly began to operate various buttons, and Chantel asked him, "What are you doing?" "I'm putting the house in defense mode." "Defense mode? What's that?" she asked. "Don't worry, it'll take care of the intruders." At this point, Chantel's eyes went to the pictures on the wall. She was surprised to see mostly pictures of Minhu and another guy, taken when they were younger. There were more pictures of the other guy, and she didn't need anyone to tell her that he was Minhu's best friend whom he had sworn to avenge. She stood in front of the computers, staring at the screen, which showed the men who had entered the house going into different rooms, and how they all died one after the other. She kept looking at the screen and finally said, "Wow, I've never seen anything like this before, Minhu. This is impressive. When did you get this place?" She waited for an answer from Minhu, but did not get one. She turned to stare at him, and at that moment, Minhu fell down, and there was a thud sound. She ran to him and stared at him in shock. "Minhu, what's happening?" He coughed out blood from his mouth, and at that point, her eyes went to his arm. She realized he had been shot in his right arm, closer to his shoulder. "Oh no, Minhu. You were shot. When? When did this happen?" "When I pulled you down," Minhu said weakly. "I saw a gun being aimed at you. That's why I pulled you down." He struggled to speak as more blood poured from his mouth while he coughed. "No, please," Chantel said. "All right, Minhu, I need to take out the bullet. Where's the first aid box?" Minhu shook his head. "You can't do that, Chantel." "No, I have to stop the bleeding. It's no use. You can't help me, Chantel." He insisted. "What? What do you mean? What do you mean by that?" The bullet was poisoned." Minhu told her. "What?" At this point, Chantel's attention was drawn to her phone, which was ringing. She picked up the phone and exclaimed, "Dad! Dad! Are you okay? Are you okay, Chantel?" Jinwoo asked anxiously. "Yes, I'm okay, Dad, but we were being attacked and..." "I know them, I know who they are. I've gathered information on them. The people who attacked you are led by a man named Stock. He's the leader of the White Sparrows. He pretends to be harmless, but he's ruthless and deadly. Stock creates lots of poison, so no matter what, do not let any of his weapons touch you, whether it's his bullet, spear, arrow, or any other weapon he may have with him. Oh no, what do I do, Dad? Minhu. Minhu has been shot. What? Minhu was shot. Where are you guys now? Is Stock there with you right now? No, Dad. We're safe in a private room at Minhu's house. I can't make it to where you are, but... Dad, I need to help Minhu. What do I do? Chantel cried. Jinwoo sighed. I'm sorry, Chantel, but there's nothing you can do for Minhu. That poison is going to kill him in 2 hours. No. Chantel kept crying. No, Dad, Stock wants my position, doesn't he? I'm the one he wants dead. Hold on, Chantel, Jinwoo said. Don't think like that. Don't do anything stupid. Just remain in hiding. I'm sending men to retrieve you right now. Please be safe. You'll be retrieved shortly, but don't go against Stock. He's very dangerous. Please listen to me, Chantel. You can't do anything for sure. As the call ended, Chantel closed her eyes and cried. At this point, Stock stood outside, staring at the house, not knowing what to do. He had gone in with more than 20 men, but after Minhu put the house in defense mode, bullets and arrows began coming out from different parts of the walls. More than 16 of his men were killed, and he and the rest made their way out. There were 8 of them standing outside. He had been certain that Chantel was going to die since he had been given information that she was in the house. He didn't think she would have been so prepared. He stood outside, pondering his next move. Meanwhile, at this point, Chantel kept asking Minhu, What do I do? What do I do, Minhu? There has to be a way I can help you, right? Blood was still coming out of Minhu's mouth, and his arm was bleeding as well. Chantel suddenly made up her mind. No matter what, she couldn't let Minhu die. She went to her mailbox to check all the information she had copied concerning all the gangs. She saw Stock's image and was shocked that he was a young man, seeming to be around Minhu's age. She took out his number and quickly called him. Stock, who was about to leave, saw Chantel's call and smiled. He answered the call and said, Hey, Park. Well, the fact that you're calling me means that you want something from me. I would have said it means you were injured, but you wouldn't be able to speak, which means that your boyfriend is the one injured, am I wrong? You want me dead, don't you? She asked him. Stock laughed. Of course not. Why would I want you dead? Listen, Park, I want something else, and I'm guessing your boyfriend doesn't have much time left. What do you want? Chantel asked. I want the flash drive, Stock replied. You should know where the Sparrow's den is located. Bring the flash drive to me in less than 1 hour, and I promise I'll give you the antidote to help your boyfriend recover. If you don't bring it, trust me, he's going to die. After speaking, he ended the call. Chantel got up and began to think. She wasn't with the flash drive, and even if she wanted to get it from her dad, there was no way she could meet up. What do I do? What do I do? She kept thinking. At this point, Minhu grabbed her ankle, and she paused. She turned her attention to him once again and went down on her knees. You know what? I need to stop the poison before going to meet Stock. She tore out a piece of her dress and tied it around his arm. Listen to me, Minhu said, coughing. Don't go to Stock, Chantel. It's a trap. He'll kill you, Chantel, and still take the flash drive. Don't go to him. Chantel held his cheeks as tears fell from her eyes. She said, No, Minhu, I'm going to do whatever it takes to save you. Listen to me, Chantel, Minhu insisted. Don't go to him. As more blood poured from his mouth, he closed his eyes and fainted while Chantel stared at him in shock. She shook his body. Minhu, open your eyes. Minhu, open your eyes. You can't do this to me. Open your eyes, Minhu, she screamed. Chantel sat on the floor, staring at Minhu as tears fell from her eyes uncontrollably. She thought about what she was going to do. The only way she was supposed to get the antidote was to meet Stock, but Stock was going to kill her, and she knew he had an army waiting for her. She didn't have the time to mobilize men, but how could she let Minhu die? He was in this mess because of her. If it weren't for trying to save her, he would not have been shot. Minhu was already prepared from the very start. Before carrying out his revenge, he had built houses, bought firearms, and done everything he needed to protect himself if the need arose. But then she came into his life, and things began to go south. No, Minhu. How would I live with myself if anything happened to you? I cannot do that. I will save you or die trying, but I will not just sit and watch you die. After making up her mind, Chantel looked at the time and saw that Minhu still had 1 hour and 30 minutes. She lifted him from the ground and began to drag him toward the bed in the room. Once he was lying on the bed, she sat beside him and wiped off the blood that was dripping from the side of his mouth. She placed his head gently on a pillow and said, "Just wait for me, Minhu. Let me get ready and leave. I promise you I will do my best to come back to you alive and wake you up." She looked around the room and began to ask herself, "What do I need? What do I need? I need weapons. Does he have an armory? Oh no, I don't have enough weapons." She kept looking around the room and finally noticed that he had a store. She rushed toward the store, but the door was locked. She searched but couldn't find any keys. She picked up a hammer from the ground and struck it on the lock, causing it to come off immediately. After that, she pushed the door and went in. She was happy to see that the store was an armory. It had different weapons and bulletproof vests. She heaved a sigh of relief and began to get ready quickly, wearing the bulletproof vest and taking enough weapons to arm herself with. Afterwards, she came out of the store. She wanted to leave, but she recalled that Minhu had put the house in defense mode. So, she quickly went to the buttons he had pressed and changed the settings, putting the house in normal mode. Afterward, she opened her email to plan how she was going to access Stock's den. His house was a mansion, and it was really big with so many rooms. She looked at the plan of the house, trying to figure out the best way to enter without being spotted. After coming up with a plan, she took note of the things she needed and quickly picked them up. She noticed that in a section of the room, there were different bottles with poisonous substances in them. One of them was snake venom. Thinking about how Stock moved around with different types of poison, she decided to also hold something that might come in handy. She put on gloves and dipped her bullets in the snake venom before loading her gun. Afterward, she walked toward the ladder, took one last look at Minhu, and ran back to the bed. She kissed his cheeks and said, "Minhu, I just need 40 minutes. I promise I'll be back within 40 minutes, all right?" After that, she picked up her phone, which was lying on the table, put it in her pocket, and began to climb out. When she got to the top, she saw the password clearly pasted on the wall and typed it into the dialer. Afterward, the top of the underground house opened. She pushed up the rug and climbed out of the house. Afterward, she closed it and covered the rug. She looked around the house, which had been thoroughly trashed, and while holding onto her weapon, she quietly made her way out. Although she knew that Stock and his men had left since she had seen them on the monitor, she still wanted to be sure that she was alone. After confirming that there was no one, she got into the car she got from the underling earlier in the day and drove out of the compound. While she was outside the gate, she noticed dead bodies by the side of the road. There were more than 12, and she realized that her father must have sent more men earlier in the day after she and Minhu were attacked. All the men who were dead outside were black vipers, and one of them was Shetty, who had been so nice to her. Most of Stock's men also lay dead just outside the house, but she couldn't care less about them. She knew that this wasn't the time to become emotional, so she continued driving. She did not stop until she finally got to her destination. As she stopped a far distance away from Stock's den, she observed the gate of the mansion and noticed that more than 3 men were guarding the entrance. She turned toward the other street and drove to the adjoining building. From her research, she knew that at that spot, it was easier for her to get access to the mansion. She parked her car at the building beside Stock's mansion and climbed up to the roof. Afterward, she took out a thick rope with a hook and began to throw it toward the railing of the kitchen window. After 4 attempts, the hook finally caught the kitchen railing, which was on the 2nd floor of the building. Once it was attached, she hooked the other end of the rope to the building where she was. She took out a curved rubber from her bag and began sliding toward the window while holding on to the rubber. Her legs were suspended in the air, and her heart was racing since she had never done something this risky before. She kept going until she finally got to Stock's kitchen window. Once she was there, she peeped through the partially open glass window of the kitchen. She could see 3 men. 2 of them were eating, and 1 was standing and talking, but they were all armed. She brought out a tube from inside her bag and began to apply its cream all over the parts of the railing that were hinged to the wall. The metal melted quickly, and she quietly took off the railing from the window. The metal melted quickly, and she quietly took off the railing from the window. She took out a red stick from her pocket, lit it, and pushed it through the small opening in the window. The men who were engrossed in their conversation did not notice this. The red stick she had thrown into the kitchen began to emit smoke, and in no time, all 3 men fell to the ground and lost consciousness. Once she saw this, Chantal pushed the glass open and went into the kitchen. When she got to the kitchen, she pushed the men who had become unconscious to the side and checked their pockets to see if she would find anything that looked like an antidote. When she couldn't find any, she came out of the kitchen. There were so many rooms in the house, and she tried to figure out which one belonged to Stock. She suddenly realized that other than these 3 men in the kitchen, there were no underlings in the building. This was strange. She began to wonder, where did they all go? She knew from her research that Stock's den was heavily guarded, yet there were no men, not even outside the room. She looked at the time and decided to proceed with her mission. She walked slowly toward the door, which had the image of a big bird. She carefully evaded the cameras while looking all around to ensure her safety. While she was approaching the room, her phone began to ring. She took it out and said, "Hello." Her eyes widened when she heard the voice on the other side. After she spoke for a while, the call finally ended. She closed her eyes and cursed, "Damn it." She looked in the direction from which she had come and was about to head there when she heard people approaching and voices too. She looked toward her right and noticed a corridor. She ran into the corridor. There were big plastic containers stacked by the side of the corridor. So she pushed the containers to the front and hid behind them as she waited. While she was there, she saw different men passing and heard voices speaking. She recognized Stock's voice as he said, "Chantal hasn't shown up. What could be happening?" "I don't think she will make it," the person he was speaking to replied. "I mean, who would? She must know it's a trap." "That's so sad," Stock replied. "The information I got is that she really loves her boyfriend." "Well, even if she loves him, who would want to take the risk? She knows what is in store for her. I heard she's a smart girl. One way or another, I'm going to get what I want," Stock said. As the voices faded into the background, Chantal remained in hiding. She kept hearing more footsteps. She took out her gun and waited, ready to shoot whoever came into the corridor. "I should have waited a little more," she mumbled. She remained in hiding until she no longer heard any voices. She looked at her time. She had spent more than 20 minutes hiding. As she stood up, her back ached. She stretched her body briefly and moved the containers to the side before walking out of the corridor as quietly as possible. Once she was out, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. "This is surprising," she thought. "Where did they all go?" At this point, though, she wanted nothing more than to be out of that place since there was no need for her to be there anymore. She looked toward the kitchen and was surprised to see that the door was open. When she had come out from there, she had closed the door. Now that it was open, it meant either those men had woken up or someone had discovered she was there. She knew she couldn't leave through that route anymore. Her eyes went to the floor below, and she noticed the exit door. "If I can just make it past the exit door, I can leave," she thought. She began to make it toward the exit and ran down the stairs while being careful not to make any sound. Even as she got to the first floor, she looked around the living room and couldn't find anyone. "This is strange," she thought. However, she still hurried out. She held the handle of the exit door and opened it before walking out of the house. Once she got outside, she was shocked to see so many men standing there. She wanted to take a step back, but she heard footsteps from behind her. She turned and saw more men coming. She kept going forward, but eventually, she couldn't move anymore as the men surrounded her. She couldn't even count them because there were so many. They began to move closer, and they were all armed, some with knives and the others with guns. Finally, the men in front of her made way as a man suddenly walked toward her. She recognized him the moment she saw him. Well, the man said, smiling. You know, I doubted that you'd be foolish enough to come, but you did. I'm really impressed with you, Chantel Park. He walked up to her and stared at the flash drive, which was hanging from her neck. He held it and pulled it away from her neck. It's good you brought this, he added. I've really been dying to have it. I kept my end of the bargain, Chantel told him. Where is the antidote? Stock laughed. The antidote? You know, for someone who took down Dong Hyun, you sure are naive and dumb. It's quite unfortunate, Chantel, because today is the day you die. No hard feelings. It's just the way the world works. As he spoke, he took out his gun and pointed it at her. I'm sure you know that this gun is poisoned, and once I put my bullet through your skull, nothing on this earth is going to save you. Before you die, I want you to know this. You're looking at the new overall leader of all the gang's chief stock. Goodbye, Chantel Park. After speaking, his hand went to the trigger, while Chantel closed her eyes as a shot was fired. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so as to get notified when we drop new stories. Like and share to family and friends, and finally tell us where you're watching from in the comment section, and we will see you in our next video.